What's going on, guys? Dan, itty Speed Shop here. Today, I'm gonna work on the 55 again. So I built this car on the channel a couple of years ago. 4-door, 2-door conversion. Obviously, it's got a 2-lane blacktop vibe to it. It's a big block, turbo 400, high stall, factory rear end, but a positive unit in it out of like a Corvette or something like that. And it's cool, and I love this thing. I haven't been driving it much lately. I've been having a few issues. It keeps fouling plugs out for some reason, so I don't know why. I used to always run Champion plugs, and I put in a set of NGKs, so I put in a set of hotter, well, I got a set of hotter Champion plugs. You can take the carburetor apart, make sure the floats aren't sticking, stuff like that. Well, both carburetors, because ton of ram life. See, the deal is, now, I love this car. It runs good, it drives nice. I don't really like the way it sounds. I did buy a set of those mufflers with the little baffle in them, electronic baffle, so those are going on. The number one thing I hate about this car, the rear wheel wells. I never liked these. I put these on when I built this thing years ago, and they're meant for like a 27-inch tall tire, which is lame. Now, in my mind, it doesn't quite have the right stance. I think the rear end has to go down and the radius has to get bigger. So I got these wheels and tires. Now, these are not much taller. These are just old, what are they? LR 5015s or whatever. So, but check out those wheels, right? Old school, beat up, suit the car perfectly. S200 daisies, whatever you want to call them. They're just 15x7, so they're not very wide, and they're not going to have the perfect back spacing, but we're going to try and put them on there and see how it looks and decide how much radius I want to take out. Now in my head, I want to lower it 2 inches, and I think I want to radius it 2 more, which puts us at about that line the whole way around. So, the end game for this is obviously I want a 4-speed, and I'd like to put an Oldsmobile rear end in it because that was a hot setup back in the day. They're hard to find. But if I build the car exactly how I want, look-wise, then I can always change the parts afterwards because everything was bolt in. Now, I got a set of 2-inch drop blocks. Same I put in the 56. We're going to put those on there. I do have a set of ladder bars that I can run with the leaf springs I bought years ago. So what we're going to do first, we're going to jack this thing up in the air. We're going to hang the rear end down, see if we can get these tires on, see what the deal is, and go from there. Now, I got a few different ideas of what we can try. So I have these are on a 7. These are different back spacing Keystone Classics. These are the exact same tire, but as you can tell, this is a much more squared off, wider tire than this one, because you have the wider wheel than that. Also on the wagon, which I know will fit, that's a set of 275/60 15s on a set of Steelies, which those will tuck up no problem. Now, my main concern, well, I'll get up in there and I'll show you. How about that? Because how much talking do you want to listen to before we start wrenching? Okay, so just a quick little mock-up here. Now, these tires were not much taller than those, because those are a 215 or something like that, but they're 75 series. These being like a 50 series, but with the section width being more, they had roughly the same height. Now let me show you what my issues are going to be. Now these ones, these rims actually fit not bad. Let's check that out. A while ago, I had a guy paint a little balm on it because everybody told me I was going to grenade the factory rear end. She's still in there. So now, this is our number one concern, is leaf spring. Now we can always go out with a spacer or offset on a rim. Now on the 56, we moved the leaf spring perch inside the frame. So in theory, you'd gain all that space, right? Well, you do and you don't. The problem is, this right here is the inner fender well, so you gotta mini tub it. So in all reality, you only gain about a ½ inch or an inch or so, I think it's a ½ inch worth of more tire without mini tubbing it. I'm not against mini tubbing it, but I do like that it has, these are actually new, brand new leaves I put in with bushings and the hangers and all that when I originally built the car. So I'd like to leave it like that and go that way. Now, the way these Tri-5s are, you can kind of see how the quarter panel goes out. So I want it to be where the tread is just on the inside lip and the bubble of the tire sticks out. So essentially, where the bubble of the tire kind of ends, I want tread, then I want it to be that much more bubbled out, and then we'll just trim to fit. So these actually don't fit terribly. I will say they fit better than I thought they would. So I think the next step will be lowering it a little bit and seeing what it'll look like put those blocks in, because ultimately that's the look I want. Now I believe if I put those blocks in, I bolt these on, and I trim just a little bit of the lip out, these tires will actually tuck up in the wheel well of this, which is kind of defeats the purpose of the radius. I realize that, but it'll give us an idea as to what's available, what we have for travel, and then I can decide, point at myself, decide what I want to do for wheels and tires. I want to put a 30 by 12 inch slick on this if it'll fit, but again, I don't want to chop the car all up just yet. So, but I think a 28 is just a 275/60, which I know fits. So if I can get a 30 inch tall or 31 inch tall slick, we'll add 3 inches for the tire, which will be 1.5 inches at the top, right? Because you got to divide it in half. And we drop it 2 more inches. Essentially, the tire will be up 3.5 inches from where it currently is. And then I can radius it to match. It'll give it the stance I want. I also have other springs and ball joint spacers, so we can lift the front end even more if we want, but it rides so nice I don't want to mess with that. For now, we're going to drop the rear end, or lift the rear end, however you want to look at it, change the mufflers, see what it looks like. Alright, so we're under this thing. Now typically, blocks like this, most people think they're used for lifting blocks, which is true. Now, the real thing is you gotta know if your rear end is spring over or spring under. Now this being a spring over, if you put a block between the perch and the leaf spring, it'll move the rear end up, which will lower it. Now on most trucks, it's a spring under, and then if you put a block between the leaf spring and the rear end, it would actually push the rear end down, which would in turn lift it. So that's how that works. So now, we're gonna knock these U-bolts out, we're gonna lift the rear end up, put a block under it, drop back down, and put new U-bolts on, which are the same, but 2 inches longer. Pretty complicated stuff. Nothing else has to change. Well, at this point now we have the right stance. The tires are in contact with the lip of the fender. Now, I think after staring at this thing, I found out what my problem is with this. It became more apparent when the car is lowered. The radius is not equal to a tire size. It's wider here than it is there. Like in theory, if the radius was the proper, size, like if you took a tire and added 1 inch the whole way around, the gap would be the same, which it's not. So it either needs this gap up here, or it should be, covering the whole thing. I think that's why I don't like it. But, in the meantime, this looks okay. If I zip off this fold-in piece, the tire should be able to fit okay. It might rub a little. But, that'll give me an idea. From behind, that actually looks pretty cool. It's got the, right amount of meat on the ground, I think. We still have a full inch or half an inch inboard to the spring. So we could easily go in ½ inch or so, because as the tire gets bigger, it's going to wobble around. I don't want to tear out a sidewall going around a corner like this thing's a handling machine. We're in the right direction. We're not there yet. I'm going to cut that out, see what it looks like. I got a buddy come over later with a few different size wheels. I'm gonna try out. He's gonna let me borrow them for a day or two, and then tomorrow if I can go talk real nice like to the speed shop, maybe let me take a tire home, just try it out for a pay up, or even order the size I really want. So we're getting there. I'll trim that out and then put a set of plugs in this thing, make the carburetor apart, and actually start working on the mufflers too. Whoa, my hair's crazy. Good day. So you'll like this one. You're in the way. You're blocking the shot. You're in the shot. So I put a floor jack under the frame.
I have to look at a lot of butt crack
to lift it up, because I was like, I'll get in there. So anyways, I marked the tire where it was. This is exactly 2 inches, and I don't know, I think it looks kind of cool. I have problems. So anyways, I'm going to undo all the work I just did, but at least now you know how to put in blocks, and they're super easy to do, and it's a real tutorial video, and then we'll work on changing the plugs. And oh, and mufflers, we'll do mufflers. Alright, we're shifting gears here. I decided not to put the rear end back to how it was, because, here's my thought process. The car was low, but if I add more tire to it, it's going to bring it up, and go from there. So, I'm going to see if I can, like I said, borrow those wheels, test it out, see if I can test a bit of tire, but I'll do that tomorrow. It's already getting late. So I chopped the exhaust. Now, this exhaust system was actually a cool setup. A buddy of mine built it. He had a Tri-5. I had to modify it to fit my headers, but just go straight back into a muffler. There's a little hanger, and it would dump out the side. So I just cut the muffler off. So right now we have a straight pipe back. It's 3-inch. It had a thrush muffler on. I just didn't like the way it sounded. I put this muffler right on top. It was slightly shorter, but ultimately it'll be fine. I marked this muffler with the tailpipe. I then kind of marked it, put it on, you know, just give it the old eyeball so it looks good. So here's the hanger, which is pretty slick. I'm just going to buzz this in real quick now in my flip-flops, and then we'll put it on. And then for the front, instead of welding it right to the car, I bought these. I've never used these before, slip-on clamps. So the thing with this is the pipe itself is actually 3-inch outside diameter, because typically mufflers are bigger and the pipe will slide on. That's not the case. So the back here, I actually cut off part of the muffler and used it to slide over, so that was nice to kind of locate it. And in the front, I'll just have one of these on there, clamp it, butt it up, and it should be good. And if this is terrible, I'll weld it. So yeah, let's get her together. So here's what we got going on. Pretty simple, exactly the same as it was. I'm not gonna lie, I did fire it up and I tried it out with the open exhaust, and it's cool. So the mufflers are, they're definitely quieter than it was, but then when they're open, they're loud, but they're not open headers under your feet loud, reverberating off the ground. It's straight pipe loud. So I dig it. I'll show you guys that tomorrow. It's missing on one cylinder and it sounds like crap, so I don't want to embarrass myself. And it's dinner time. Well, it's late dinner time. But yeah, there we go. So we're working on it. Hopefully get the tires figured out tomorrow. The exhaust for sure we will. Change the plugs, look at the carburetors, and it's coming together. All we really have left is how much we want to before we're rocking. See you tomorrow. What's up, guys? Next day. So I didn't get the wheels, but I picked up a set of tires. I borrowed off the speed shop, one tire. And unfortunately, after seeing it kind of jam together at all costs, these tires are going on this car. I'm going to give you a little look here. Ready? Look at that. So I have it down on the suspension with the block still. We've got it, you know, centered-ish. So we're jammed up against the leaf spring, the tire is, which is bad, so we gotta space it out. But even if we space it out, it still will be well within the quarter panel. You know what I mean? So, and it's honestly, it's jamming right now up against this this lip I have. So even if I just took that out, I bet they would fit. So now it's a backspacing game. I do believe this will fit without relocating the leaves and just doing my my cut. The sun's not washing me out there. My cut however I want, which again, I mean, I'll just trace whatever, keep these for another car or sell them or do whatever. And I think it'll look friggin' fantastic. But I'm gonna run back down to the speed shop and buy the other tire. Well, pay for this one and buy another one, and I'm gonna try and mount these on something, and I'll get those slots and stuff and see if they fit kind of down the road. But I got a little bit of fitment to do, and so I'm gonna get the tires. I think we're gonna finish up the plugs. I'll show you the exhaust. We'll end it there. We'll start a whole new video with my hopefully rise to winning of this, making this thing look just absolute badass. I think it's worth every friggin' penny, and these tires are not cheap. But I kind of hate the car, and now I love it. Alright, so I got the unit down on the ground. I put on just the rollers there so it wouldn't be jammed up in the quarter panel. That's just for right now. I actually changed my mind last minute on a set of tires. The ones they had that I had on there, they weren't exactly street legal, or they weren't street legal at all. So I started to order a set of slightly different ones, but are DOT approved, and those will be here in a couple of days, which is fine because I'm not cutting the thing up right now anyways. Still got to track down wheels and do a little bit of measuring and all that. So I want all my stuff before I start hacking this thing. So anyways, you got the front end flipped ahead. I got a few issues. Carburetors are definitely well, they were backfiring like crazy because it was all fouled out and stuff like that. But you see down here, this front carburetor, there's actually fuel in there. You can smell it, so it's dumping gas out of somewhere. This thing always had this little bushing here, was unhappy and leaked every now and again. But I'm thinking it's just jam and fuel right through the thing. So I don't know if we have a needle and seat issue. Maybe it's a fuel pressure issue. All these are kind of new. I never had those problems before. And same thing on this side. This is all fuel in there for some reason. I noticed that like vacuum caps have deteriorated and stuff like that. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pull the carburetors apart, off and apart. Just see what they look like. Make sure there's nothing blatantly obvious in them. They're full of corrosion, the float's stuck, a needle and seat is stuck, something along those lines. And we'll kind of go from there. I might fire it up real quick just to see if it's dumping fuel or something along those lines, because it does run not very well, but it's missing on cylinders left and right. But yeah, I don't know, it's a bit of a pain. So I'll do that. I also, I have the carburetors on the wagon, I have those carburetors on that small block, all those things. So shouldn't be bad. These, I believe, are only, I don't know if they're 450, I think they're 450, so they're not even that much carburetor for this thing. I didn't want to over carburate because I wanted to drive it. I wanted more look than actual performance. So there's got to be just something unhappy with the delivery system of fuel in my mind. Okay, so took everything apart. Everything was clean, everything looked good. I didn't take the back carburetor off, just the front actually. And I'll probably take the back one off. I noticed in the front, I took it off, the rear float was rubbing on something, so I took it all apart. I actually removed the gasket, which I don't know if I need it or not. I gotta do a little research on that. But I bet it was doing that from forever. I put a little dab of grease on it, and it was right up against the little metering block piece. So I think what was happening is the float would move. I think I moved with a screwdriver through the sight, which I should tighten up. Oh, I did. But it was getting stuck, like it was just slow. So I bet it was just overfueling, which makes sense. You got fuel in the back and on the sides there. Well, that's where the rear vent is. And it was kind of shooting out every now and again. But this thing, again, probably drinks enough fuel that what it was just slightly letting through, it used. It always ran rich and it always did blow a lot of smoke, but now it just started burning spark plugs. So we'll call it half fixed. I know everyone hates that I don't have this carburetor same height as that one, so maybe I'll do that just to appease the internet. So you know me, I like to gotta make the internet happy. But we're gonna fire it up.
Do you think you should put the spare tire on the front of this one too?
Yeah, some trailer mirrors. I got a bit of a clicky clack with the exhaust, so the problem is when I put the exhaust together, they were butted up together and I ran that clap around. I think I'll just put some high heat silicone or exhaust cement or whatever it's called in there. It'll be fine, but just it kind of clicks a little, which I find annoying, whether it shows up on camera or not, who knows. So we'll fire it up, we'll give her a few reps. It's extremely quiet with these mufflers, like ridiculous, and then perfect with the open mufflers. Danny didn't even notice it, she said, we just had it running, but we'll see. We'll see if she notices it this time. All right, ready? That's embarrassing. So it's very quiet, like ridiculous. It's got a bit of a pop on this one side. But you open it up, I think it sounds cool.
I noticed that time.
So it's a little on the quiet side when they're closed, and it's a little on the loud side when they're open.
It is obnoxious when they're open. Holy sweet mother.
It's cool, eh? But it's only in the back. So it's 1,000 times better than having it dump out under your feet there. So I love it. I think that's another smart investment in the old DD Speed Shop ledger, as far as I'm concerned. But there we go. She's together. She's sitting funny. We didn't make a whole lot of progress. I spent a pile of money on tires. Hopefully be here in a couple of days. But like I said, I'm gonna work these carburetors a little bit more on my own. Change all the plugs, do all that sort of stuff. Make it so it's a little bit more runner driver. Clean it all up. Hopefully the next couple of days those tires will show up and we can start slamming them on there and really radiusing this thing and making it look cool. It looks sad right now. You know what it looks like right now is when you have like Bigfoot, when it has its little tires on, when you're transporting on the trailer, that's what it looks like. Quick set of 31s on there will fix everything. Alright. Thanks for watching, guys. Hopefully you want a little bit of gassier content. We're finally making it look cool. And then, yeah, we'll carry on. So, comment, subscribe, let me know what you think. Tell me I'm an idiot for doing what I'm doing, and see you on the next video.